Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. Joe Biden pops a balloon. Madonna looks like a troll. And blink twice, Ben Affleck, if you need help. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I am your host, the Madman. I wanted to get that stuff out of the way because that's stuff I'm not going to talk about. You know, if Ben Affleck needs help, he can call up plenty of his friends. All right? I don't know why anyone... I know, yeah, you can call it Matt Damon, EK says. Absolutely. And so... I don't understand why anyone gives a damn about these people. So I'm not going to talk about that. Speaking of people you shouldn't give a damn about, Madonna looks like a troll doll. And the only thing I really want to say about that is that, you know, it's if every newspaper and MTV and VH1 were calling me a sex symbol for over a decade, you know, I think it would have messed with my mind too. That being said, I mean, she's clearly nuts. Celebrities are nuts. Why do you care about them?
Madonna went from a sex symbol to a form of birth control.
EK said she went from a sex symbol to a form of birth control. Yeah.
You used to look at pictures of Madonna to get hooked up.
Yeah.
Now you look at pictures of Madonna to cool off.
Exactly. It's like, ooh, I'm getting too hot and bothered. I need to look. Let's go to Madonna's Instagram. Ooh. And as far as the balloon goes, there's not a whole lot I can say about it that hasn't been said, you know, why wasn't shot down over Alaska, you know, Montana at the very least. You know, it's just the only thing I remember is that the Saturday they shot it down because here in Virginia, you know, we're pretty close to the South Carolina coast. I remember I saw so much military air traffic overhead. So much military air traffic. I thought I was back in a joint task force exercise back in the Navy. That was the last time I seen that many white streaks in the sky. You know what I mean? They're gassing us, man. It's the vapor trails. It's not vapor. It's gas. They're gassing the population to keep us cowed. No, the internet's doing that. Idiots. Anyway, I want to remind you that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron. I would appreciate that very much. If you want to send me cash to Cash App, there's a hashtag shockmonkeyradio. You can send all one word. You can send it to me that way. You can follow me on Twitter at Denolitsaw, which is the word wasteland spelled backwards. I was really into T.S. Eliot. I still am, I guess. Shock Monkey Radio Redux. You can't even see it. Okay. Shock Monkey Radio Redux. On Facebook, where is it? Over here. All right. And out on Instagram at SL Robbins. I would appreciate that very much. I also have books available for digital download. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's on Amazon.com. I got the Exit 13 books, The Ravings of a Madman, and The Bunny Years, a memoir. You know, sometimes people, you know, people who have read The Ravings of a Madman have said, are you concerned that, like, if you ever become famous, like, people are going to, like, cite this book? And it was like, if they do, they're idiots. I wrote that book as like a way to explain, it's like, how can anyone take me seriously? You know, I don't even take myself seriously. And so, I mean, if you come to this show for, you know, a better understanding of the news or something like that, you are sorely, sorely mistaken. I'm just some idiot rambling on the internet. All right. And, you know, the world's full of them. You know, I'm just one of them. All right. I'm not an authority on anything. What would I say I'm an authority on? Nothing. The only thing I would say is if you wrote something on the internet, the only thing I'm an authority on is like grammar. You know, I'm that guy in the comment section. It's like, you misspelled this. It's like, why can't you use semicolons? Do you know about the Oxford comma? I'm that guy. Okay. And even then, I don't have any reason to have any authority on the matter because I don't have like an English degree or anything like that. You know, why is anyone? You know, I know I want you to subscribe. I know I want you to become a patron. I know I want you to share the show with your friends, but I'm not an authority on anything. You know, I just try to like get through every single news day with enough laughs to keep me from going insane and crying my eyes out. Anyway. You ever go on a bender? You know, get real drunk and then you wake up in the morning and your pubes are gone? Not like disappeared, but they've clearly been shaved off. You know, there's all around the toilet, there's a bunch of hair. You know, I wish I could remember why I did that. And so, because I can't remember, I just woke up one morning and was like, wow, this is different. And so the only thing I could think of is that, you know, when you're drinking a lot of beer and you're using the toilet a lot, it's like maybe I got like frustrated for hunting for the button in the fur coat. That's an unflattering metaphor. Let's say maybe I got tired of hunting, searching for the baseball bat in the shrubbery. Let's be honest, it's a button and fur coat, and so maybe that's why I did. It's not like I'm mad that it happened, that I did this to myself, because I was like, okay, I guess I can live with this. It's not like anyone's going to see anything anyway. It's been decades since anyone's looked, even longer since anyone's commented on it. So I mean, it's I kind of want to know why, the exact reason why. And the only thing I can come up with is like, I got frustrated with, drunkenly searching for my apparatus. Anyway, maybe that's what it was. Anyway. So it might be a short show. In case working hard. I got another client in another studio. Working hard. Started up my show and off he goes to go master someone else's tracks. And that's what you can do here at FXBG Public Radio. Search us up. If you ever want to do anything, more professional than this show, we can handle it. FXBG Public Radio can handle it. Mastering tracks, laying down tracks. That's what EK likes to do. He's like, I could just start this and leave the room. I don't even need to be here. The only thing I technically need to be here for is the news worth of knowing, just to play the thing. But you don't really need that, right? I was like, no, man, go make your money. Anyway. So look, I hate Peter Gabriel. First of all, he broke up Genesis. And it's similar to the like David Lee Roth thing. It kind of had to happen. People were upset about, Genesis. People are upset about Van Halen. But, it kind of had to happen. David Lee Roth and Peter Gabriel just getting too big for their britches. It's so, you got to break up a classic band, I suppose. And if you want to make an argument that, Genesis is a classic band. And, in many ways, Genesis was better after, once Phil Collins took over the lead vocals. One can argue that. But the biggest reason I hate, I think you know where I'm going with this, Peter Gabriel. The reason I hate Peter Gabriel the most is the Shock the Monkey song, because people who watch the show will say, hey, Shock the Monkey. It's like, no, it's Shock Monkey Radio. This is not named in any way after anything Peter Gabriel has done. Him and his sledgehammer. What a cock. I don't like that song. I don't like his solo career, when people say like, oh, Shock Monkey Radio, Shock the Monkey, why don't you do that as your theme song? It's like, because I'm not lame. That's why. So screw Peter Gabriel. And screw that song. He copied me. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a short one today. I don't have a whole lot to say this week, Don't have a whole lot to say. When we get to the news, I'll probably get more chatty. But today I want to talk for a little bit about the magic of women. The magic of women. It's kind of amazing when you think about it, like all life, in many ways, how it propagates itself as a species, how things work biologically. And when it comes to human women, it's just mind-blowing how disgusting and beautifully disgusting, it all is, because, what women's bodies are capable of doing, it's like 99% of all the work of propagating the species is all in one gender, and it's just absolutely amazing. Think about estrus, the puberty. Blocked on puberty. Puberty blockers. Oh, God. Anyway. So puberty. When women go into puberty, that's, your body, you start having your menses, your period, And so, and what that is your womb starts building a little house, starts building a little baby house, a house for a baby, inside your body, and you just, every month it just builds this house, builds this house. Is the baby going to move in? No baby moves in. So they dump it all out, and start from scratch again, because you got to have the nicest house for your baby. And that's what that's all about. I know it's a pain in the butt, ladies, or a little pain in the abdomen with the cramps, etc. I really do understand that. And to be honest, if, blood were coming out of my organs, it would freak me out. It would freak me out. And something tells me that every single woman who goes through that, it freaks them out because it is weird. It's weird no matter how you cut it. And I suppose that if you have to live with it for your entire life, or, most of your life, ladies, it's, you kind of got to get used to it, and that's what's kind of awesome about women is that, they, because of all this crazy biological stuff, is like they're far more, I don't know, have like a stronger stomach for gross biological stuff. Me, maybe it's just me, because when somebody gets injured or something like that, or it's particularly like a lot of blood, I'll get like physically sick, so it's like I could never be a surgeon and stuff like that. I mean, I get like like I'm going to throw up, and so it's like I can never be a paramedic. I can never be a cop, it's, just put the gun down. It wouldn't work for me. But because women go through this process every month, it kind of gives them a hey life is messy attitude, because it is. All right. And then, every month, your body builds up this little house for a baby. And all it needs is this little tiny bit, the smallest bit you can almost the smallest bit you can imagine. Tiny little bit of genetic material from a male. And then it's off to the races. It's dividing cells in there. It's fluffing pillows for the baby. And baby starts growing in there. And I know that's got to be weird, having another human being inside you like that, like living inside you, ladies. But it's magical. That's life. That's how the human species has always propagated itself. I say himself, which is rude. Humanity propagates itself through the magic of women. Then you have the baby, the nightmare that is. I'm just gonna skip right over that. You have the baby, and then your body magically makes food for the baby just popped out. That's crazy to me. You eat a cheeseburger, it makes milk for the baby. You eat some bacon, it makes milk for the baby. You eat some oatmeal, it makes milk for the baby. You drink a glass of milk, it makes milk for the baby. And not only is it milk that you can feed the baby with, it's the best possible thing you can give your baby. Science hasn't caught up with what your body can produce in terms of the immunizations and the biome that you share with your child. You shared your biology for a while. Now you're sharing food with your baby, and you're like, that baby gets like most of your immune system. Formula makers can't crack that code. They tried. They do their best. But formula just doesn't match up with straight from God's tap, as it were. Straight from mom's tap. Sounds weird when I say it that way. Either way, it's kind of weird. It's all weird and disgusting. And what's interesting is that you can do this a lot. And I suppose it's a benefit. I don't know, ladies. Is it a benefit to, like, if you get pregnant, it's like, oh, no cramps for 9 months. That's nice. You get like a little vacation from your period. So maybe that's kind of cool. I don't know. Maybe that's why, like, some women who are just like pregnant all the time is like, the cramps. Oh no, can't deal with them. I'm just gonna keep getting pregnant until menopause. And speaking of menopause, then at some point you have no more eggs. You have no more eggs, and then your body's chemistry changes. Afterwards, because now you're like, it's like, I've had all the kids, all the hard work's out of the way. Now it's time to relax and speak my mind. So that's why women, when they start like going through menopause, is like, hey, they get a little feisty, they get a little attitude. I get it. I really do, until it, becomes a problem, like all these, Karen videos you see on the internet. It's always some like middle-aged woman clearly having, why is it so hot in here? And like causing a scene. But I mean, in that, like, it's magical. It's magical. And it's so much more magical than men. All right, men, just we ejaculate. That's all. That's all that we contribute to the entire process of propagating the human species. All right. Hopefully, they're marrying the woman. They're like providing for the woman and the children and so forth. And maybe even like contributing to society in some way because they know that they can't create life. In fact, all of man's ambition is based upon the fact that we cannot create life. It's like, well, you can't build a skyscraper. I'm going to go build one. I'm going to build an airplane. I'm going to invent TikTok. Well, it's a Chinese guy invented that. So, but most of like men's ambition is based upon the fact that it's like, hey, you just need a little bit of this goop here, and not just stand back for a while. Y'all, if you need help, see you in 9 months. I mean, that's all that is really needed for the species, and that's why men go to war, or should be the ones going to war. I don't want to argue with you people about like whether or not women should be in the military. There are roles for women in the military, okay? But what I'm saying is like the combat, the lead on target people who not only give lead but also take lead, I don't think there should be women in those positions. Okay. You know why? Because you're friggin' magical. We should keep our wizards back at home. You know what I mean? We should keep them safe because they're wizards. They have magic flowing through their bodies. And that's why, when it comes to these transgender people, I don't know how you women aren't just infuriated at how trivialized they considered a woman to be. A woman is not a face surgery. A woman is not a breast implants. A woman isn't chopping your junk off and getting a fake vajayjay put in. That's not womanhood. Womanhood is everything you magical creatures are. Womanhood is the ability to propagate life. Life of all humanity must pass through your hips. So that's why I think you should look at these transgender people and consider them to be a mockery of what you truly are. All right? Why can't these guys like Dylan Mulvaney go and like build a skyscraper instead? Because you have much more luck actually building a skyscraper than actually becoming a woman. The most magical creature God ever created. I don't believe unicorns exist. Because you could argue that if unicorns existed, they're probably more magical than women. Even then, women would be very close second. Most magical creatures ever created. Maybe it's been a long time since I've been laid, sorry. All right, I'm talking a little bit about this here. How come there's no more shamalama ding dongs in songs anymore? How come there's no more na 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 nas? How come there's no more what is that called? Like scatting, I think. It's just making noise with your mouth that like, it's, you just don't hear it in songs anymore. And I don't think I've ever heard a rapper go shamalama ding dong, So why couldn't you work that in? And I think that songs that had those kinds of, shamalama ding dong features were some of the best songs ever made. If you're sitting there going, na, 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 there's always going to be somebody out there going, Judy, 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 Judy. Because that's good music. I'm not saying that like what the bebop 50s era of music is like the best era of music, because that seems like where you had the most of that bebop kind of stuff in songs was in that era, and then it slowly like faded out over the years, into the the 70s and not so much into the 80s, But let's be honest, that Queen when Freddie Mercury's on stage going let up and having playing with the crowd that way, That's awesome. And he's not saying anything of substance. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because music doesn't necessarily need to have words. But sometimes it's better when you do have like a story, a narrative, or some like interesting poem that goes along with the music and the meter. But do you really need it? You don't. You don't. Try to think of a modern song that has sha-na-nas or la-di-das. I think the last thing I can remember, the last song I can remember, but, you know, I don't listen to much modern music, was that one song, was it the late 90s? And it's a song about a woman like stirring her coffee and missing a boyfriend or something like that, you know? And it's not a great song, but because it has the people liked it. People liked it. It's hard to get offended about a song entitled Sha-Na-Na. Okay? You know what I mean? You could write a song like a Rage Against the Machine type song or something like that. It's like, you know, screw the government, you know, Democrats suck, you know, and then you're going to have like alienate half your audience, at least, you know? But if you do a Rage Against the Machine song called Sha-La-La-La-La, it could go platinum. Why don't people do that anymore? Maybe I just missed lazy writing. I don't know. All right, one more thing before we get into the news. Expand comments. Okay, here we go. So I watched the Warriors again this past weekend. You know what I'm talking about? You've seen the Warriors? The Warriors come out to play. That one? Okay. And you know, how do I put this? It seems like a B movie, but it really is an A movie, if you ask me. And it's really a relic of a time that a lot of people are forgotten. You know, this masculine energy. It's because it's a delightfully masculine movie, and it all takes place in an age before World of Warcraft. You know, it's like all these guys are, you know, fit teenage boys and there's no World of Warcraft that exists yet to keep them at home on their butts. So they're all in shape and they're all on the streets and all of them are forming gangs. You know, and they have to go to this rally. This guy Cyrus, he's trying to apparently unite all the gangs, and then some, you know. I guess a sociopath. That's I think his name is Luther. What was he? A member of the? There's so many gangs, it's hard to keep track. I can't remember the name of the gang. The Rogues, I think. Yeah. And he blames it on the Warriors. And so the story is the Warriors getting all the way down from the Bronx all the way back down to Coney Island, where they're from. The Warriors are apparently from Coney Island. I would see if I'd lived in Coney Island and been a part of that gang, and as they were forming it, I'm like, why don't we call ourselves the Clowns? It's like, dude, no one will respect us. So yeah, it's such a delightfully masculine movie, and plus I really dig those Warriors vests. I would love to get one of those leather Warriors vests. You know, it's delightfully masculine in the way that it depicts like different types of masculine energy. Like, you got the masculine energy like Ajax. He was like, hey, you know, I'm going to mess with this chick who's alone in the park, you know. And Swan's telling him, he's like, hey, you know, you really are dumb, aren't you? You know, and they get this little argument, this little power struggle within the Warriors since, what was his name? Cleon. Cleon was taken by the cops. You know, it's, and Swan is clearly the smart one, if you ask me. You know, he's the criminal with a heart of gold in many ways. And so, you know, and you see how Ajax's choices got him to where Ajax ends up, and you see how Swan's actions led him to where he ended up. You know, I think that's really kind of cool. You know, in many ways. It's also it reminded me what I was watching. It reminded me of Vincent Vega and what's Samuel L. Jackson's character in Pulp Fiction. It was John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, Vincent Vega, and I'm blanking on his character's name. Anyway, but they have this conversation after being shot at, and Vincent Vega and what's his name? Shoot, he the bad motherfucker. He says, after this, I want to walk the earth. I want to get out of this life. I feel like I dodged the bullet, literally. So I want to move on with my life. And then later, you find out in the movies, like Vincent Vega's, you're going to be a bum. You're going to leave this job. You're going to do this. You're going to be a bum. But Vincent ends up getting killed. And Samuel L. Jackson's character goes on about his life. I think that's interesting. It's like these two masculine perspectives, and the choices they make, and the disagreements on the choices that they make, and where they end up. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing. But I would love to get one of those warrior leather vests. Have warriors on the back. But I started thinking about it, and it was like I would look incredibly silly in this thing with my a leather vest. My big old beer gut hanging out, my pale chest with a little patch of hair here in the middle, just walking down the street. I'm the Warriors. Hey, sometimes we grow up and just end up drinking beer, but we still got a bad rep. From Coney Island to the Bronx, we got a bad rep. And so I was thinking about that, about how, I can't live like this. I can't live, with this weight on me. It's not healthy, especially as the older I'm getting. And as I'm thinking about all this, I started thinking about, well, why didn't I just jump on the fat acceptance train and say, you got to love me the way I am. This is the way I am. And so obviously I started thinking a lot about this whole fat acceptance movement where, you got these ads with, chonky people on it and stuff like that. And I mean, there's a difference between chonky and fat, but I mean, you got these TikToks and you got these videos that people put out. And it's like, look how fat I am. And I love myself and I'm beautiful. And it's like, I don't believe you. I really don't believe you. It's not like, trim men and women are gone. They still exist. And I don't care how happy you say you are, at your weight. You would rather have a supermodel's body. I would rather have a supermodel's body. Could make things easier for me. Could make things, my whole life could be easier. But you got to understand, that kind of body, it takes a lot of discipline. A lot of discipline to get abs. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of discipline, not only what you eat, but also your exercise regimen. All right? It's hard. It's hard to get your body hard. You know what I mean? And that's why, people who do it deserve all the rewards they get from it. All right? Because they're like, I'm starving. I'd kill for a cheeseburger. But they stifle that, thing for the greater good of their health. My knees are popping all the time. And the reason why they're popping all the time is because they're carrying around more weight than they're designed to carry. All right? And so that could be happening to your knees, for all I know. For all I know, you're 110 pounds soaking wet. So I don't know. But it's hard to get to that point, and, looking that way is its own reward, and if it was easy, it would be uncommon. It would be like if, for example, if they invented a pill today that you take it and you can eat whatever you want and you'll never gain a pound. In fact, you'll get down to give everybody like a swimmer's body. You know what I mean? And so, and then I would stop taking the pill because all of a sudden the chubby guy is different and everyone wants to have sex with the chubby guy, but because it's hard, that is what is attractive. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like the end of Logan's Run. This this old man has been hanging out near this enclosed city. And at the end of the movie, all these teenage hot girls come out there and they're like, whoa, he's got hair on his face and it's gray. You know that dude got stupid laid after the end of that movie. You can just, the morality of it, you can argue all you want, but I mean, let's be honest. Because they had a hedonistic society in there, and it's like, ooh, he looks different. I want to bang that person. And that's the point, even trim people, there's like guys like I've been, been thin all my life, but I've never had the abs, because you really got to get that body fat like really low to get abs. You know what I mean? I guess I'm just mad that I never got abs. Never in my life. I never said, wow, I have abs. And no, it's just a stomach. It's always been just a stomach. Even when it was flat, it was flat. You know, it was smooth. And it is hard. It's hard to live that way. And I got to be disciplined to, for myself, for my own health, and for my own, you know, well-being. You know, because nobody wants a beer gut pushing against I don't know. Man. There might be some chicks with a fetish for it. But, you know, it's, you know, plus I want to wear that Warriors jacket. I want to get one with one of those Warriors vests and look good doing it. I suppose, but I mean, would I only wear it on Halloween, or would I probably want to wear it all the time. Probably want to wear it all the time. And you can sit there and argue all you want. It's like real men don't wear vests. And I think the only exception to that is the fact that it's a leather vest with no shirt underneath. I think that's fine. Anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about all of that, apparently. Golly, I'm a weird dude. Let's get into the news worth knowing. All right. So, a little thing on my glasses here. So, Biden's State of the Union address, that happened last night. I'm not going to go too much into it because it was 90% bullshit. So, yeah, he gave his second State of the Union address that acted as a soft launch for his 2024 presidential bid last night, earning cheers from Democrats on his calls to ban assault weapons and codify Roe versus Wade, and jeers from Republicans on the border crisis and Social Security. So here's like the Fox News is giving like the top five moments of the speech. Number one is liar. I touched my glasses a lot. Liar. And this, as you might imagine, Marjorie Taylor Greene started yelling. So chaos briefly erupted in the House chamber after Biden repeated an old Democratic talking point that has long been debunked by fact checkers. So here's a quote from him. Some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset, he claimed. I'm not saying it's a majority, he continued, as Republican congressional members began to protest. Anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia shouted liar at him. Anyway. So Biden backtracked saying, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. I'm politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you. And so some Republicans have supported designated all federal programs under the stricter scrutiny of discretionary spending so that Congress must approve each program on an annual basis. While the designation would mean Medicare and Social Security would face cuts, Republicans have repeatedly said they don't want to eliminate the programs. Even left-leaning outlets have said Biden's characterizations of the GOP's plans for Social Security and Medicare are misleading. Yeah. So that's the point. It's like Marjorie Taylor Greene is right to call him a liar. Because, you know, he is lying. Throughout the majority of it. Yeah, and so does it talk about McCarthy? Okay, that's the next thing. So I'll skip the McCarthy thing for now. But he's doing this just like this is how crazy the Republican Party is. They want to get rid of your Social Security and Medicare. And no. They just didn't want to put it on this huge omnibus that you were trying to rush through Congress. Anyway. So, and like leading into the next thing is McCarthy shushing the members, you know. Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy shushed hecklers in his own party when they interrupted Biden's tribute to a fentanyl victim. McCarthy had been seen mouthing shush after a member yelled, "It's coming from China," and another shouted, "It's your fault." So McCarthy had tried to shush people in his own party. I don't like that. I don't like that he did that. It's like, you should know better. You know, the whole idea of the State of the Union is ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. And you just write a letter like they used to in the old days. There's no reason for all this event, this television event that people tune into. You know, there's no need for all this. You know, and plus, I mean, if you're going to have it, have disagreements on the floor. Don't tell people to shush like we're just going to let this president talk and then afterwards we're going to rant about it on Twitter or whatever. No. The argument should take place in that very room. In that very room. It's like, you don't want to it's not like a place where we're all going to be prim and proper for the event, and then when the cameras are off, then we pull our knives out. No. This is when it should happen. This is where it should happen. So, no, don't shush these people. This is the first State of the Union that's actually been interesting in a while because of all the heckling and noise from the gallery. All right? Noise from the people in the chamber. All right? Don't shush them. All right, so let's go to this next thing. Biden repeated a misleading claim about the number of jobs he's created since he took office in 2021. 2 years ago, our economy was reeling, the president said. As I stand here tonight, we have created a record 12 million new jobs, more jobs in 2 years than any president has created in 4 years. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, however, the economy under Biden has added only 2.7 million jobs overall, because the rest had been lost during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, all right, this next one is the ban of assault weapons that the Democrats just love. Get up and clap, clap, clap. Biden renewed his call to ban so-called assault weapons during his address, garnering a standing ovation from his party and head shaking from the other side. Quote, ban assault weapons now. Ban them now once and for all, he said. The president made the declaration after talking about a gunman who allegedly used a handgun to kill 11 people celebrating the Lunar New Year at a ballroom near Los Angeles. The gun was reportedly a semi-automatic pistol with a magazine larger than 10 rounds. Biden did not elaborate on what type of firearm classified as an assault weapon. Now, the weirdest thing was Jill Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, kissed second gentleman Doug Emhoff ahead of the speech. The cameras are on them and just went up and kissed him on the lips. It's friggin' weird. All right. And, I was watching this on the Daily Wire last night, the State of the Union, and they said, it's not something, that would be uncommon if you're at a party or something like that. And I was like, sure. It's still a little weird. I don't kiss my friends' wives on the lips. You know what I mean? And so I guess like swinger is trending today because of this. I was listening to Gavin McInnes show on the way over here about how he was talking about Kanye West on Alex Jones, and he's like, that's the most entertaining television I've seen in a long time, and I do agree with Gavin. It's like entertaining television is alarming television, and so I don't know how many times I've watched the State of the Union because I'm a politics buff and news buff. I've watched the State of the Union and just been bored out of my mind. And this was actually a little bit exciting. Anyway, so don't shush them. There were days in Congress and people like beat each other with canes. I'm not saying it should be like that, but I mean it tempers flare. You know what I mean? We're human beings after all. Anyway, let's go to this next story. So let's talk about the earthquake that happened to Turkey and Syria. This is deadliest in more than a decade as deaths passed more than 11,000. My Lord. So the earthquake in Turkey and Syria has killed more than 11,000 people, making it the deadliest seismic event in more than a decade. Turkey's disaster management agency said the country's death toll passed 8,500. The Syrian health ministry said the death toll in government-held areas has climbed past 1,200, while at least 1,400 people have died in the rebel-held northwest, according to volunteer first responders known as the White Helmets. More than 30,000 people have been injured from the Monday morning, 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Death toll is expected to continue to rise as rescue workers search for survivors underneath the rubble. My goodness. The quake is the world's deadliest seismic event since 2011, when a 9.0 magnitude quake off the northeast coast of Japan triggered a tsunami, killing nearly 20,000 people. Neither Turkey nor Syria provided figures for the number of people still missing Wednesday as Pope Francis asked for his weekly general audience for prayers and demonstrations of solidarity. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, hope I got that right, sorry, will travel to the town of Pazarkik, the epicenter of the quake, and to the worst hit province of Hatay. He has faced calls to send more support to the disaster areas. The country now has roughly 60,000 aid personnel in the quake's hit zone, but many people are still awaiting help since the wide area was impacted. quake toppled thousands of buildings, frigid temperatures, and ongoing aftershocks have complicated rescue efforts. Search teams from more than 24 countries have been sent to help Turkey's emergency personnel, and the country has received numerous promises of aid. While concerns are rising for those still trapped, Polish rescuers working in Turkey said they have pulled 9 people alive from the rubble so far, including parents with 2 children and a 13-year-old from the ruins of the city of Besni. Nearly 2 days after the quake, rescuers pulled a 3-year-old boy, Arif Khan, from beneath the rubble of a collapsed apartment building in Kahramanmaraş, which is not far from the epicenter. So obviously, yeah, you're getting all these sad stories of children, families getting pulled out, and thank God they get rescued. But there's a lot more that have perished in this. Now, obviously, your thoughts and prayers should go out first thing. Second thing, if you're trying to provide help for this, I would recommend not sending it to Syria, not sending it to Turkey. If you want to financially help, somebody who's going to help people in Turkey and Syria, I would suggest, some like Western aid group, like donate to them instead, some Western aid group that's going to go there and actually do something. Because I think if you just hand a check to Turkey or Syria, it's like, here, I hope this helps. Government's going to take, it's going to be theirs. I know about the white helmets. I've heard about them a lot. I mean, but, and so they have their own infrastructure, but I don't know how much we should be involved in the help, in helping out, because most people just want to send money. They don't necessarily want to go yourself and help. If you want to go yourself and help, that's a better prospect. However, Syria, Turkey, rough places. All right. So good luck to you. Stay safe, and pray for those victims out there, because there's nothing political about an earthquake. It's just a natural disaster. Doesn't necessarily know, the fault line doesn't necessarily know who's living above it. It's awful. It happens to every nation on earth. Well, most nations. I'm sure there's some nations where we've never had an earthquake. Oop. All right. Let's talk about this one. Education board member gets booted after defending Constitution and speaking out against socialism. Here in my home state, a woman who has championed the traditional American values was booted from the Virginia Board of Education 1 week after sparring with another board member over whether public schools should present socialism as incompatible with democracy. Quote, I thought people celebrated diversity. Whether it's a diversity of thought, diversity of viewpoint, or diversity of any of the many characteristics, Suparna Dutta, who immigrated from the United States from India, told Fox News ahead of the vote. I'm flummoxed. I wonder... flummoxed. If she's using a word like that, that means she probably has a pretty good handle on English. Flummoxed. Or is there an Indian word that is flummoxed that means the same thing in Indian? I don't know. Hindi or something. I don't know. So Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin appointed Dutta to the Virginia Board of Education in July. Dutta was set to be confirmed by the Senate of Virginia Tuesday night, along with a host of other appointees to various government positions. But Virginia State Senator Ghazala Hashmi introduced last-minute amendment removing Dutta from the nominations. The amendment passed on a party-line vote, according to a progressive group that tracks the state's General Assembly. Senate Democrats voted to remove Suparna Dutta, shockingly claiming that a public school parent isn't qualified to serve on the Board of Education. What? Youngkin said in a statement. She is a mother and advocate for parents' rights. She is an immigrant and an advocate for Asian American rights. She is an engineer and an advocate for STEM in education. She's not only qualified, she epitomizes parental involvement in our schools, and we need her voice on our Board of Education, the government continued. Dutta's ousting follows a contentious exchange last week during a board meeting reviewing proposed changes to history and social science standards in Virginia public schools. Two of the foundational principles outlined in the learning standards are that the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution are remarkable documents, and that socialism and communism are incompatible with democracy and individual freedoms. Board member Ann Holton, who is married to Democratic Senator Tim Kaine, said she was uncomfortable with that language. Jeez. You cannot reference the Declaration of Independence and Constitution as remarkable documents without also acknowledging that contain fundamental flaws of enshrining slavery and limiting the protections they are provided for only to white propertied men, she said. Why don't you just say I'm a socialist? That's what... Anyway, so Holton conceded that communism is not compatible with democracy, but said plenty of governments call themselves socialist democratic governments. Yeah, it would have been more terse to say I'm a socialist. Quote, so is socialism compatible with democracy, Holton asked. That would be a great debate to have in a 12th grade government civics class. Minutes later, yeah, but you're adults. You're supposed to have already passed that class. Okay? And you should know the answer. Minutes later, Duda chimed in to defend the Constitution to excoriate socialism. Quote, I think socialism is just about as bad as communism. Duda said. It co-opts the important decisions belonging to families and individuals. Well, communism does that too. So somebody had to jump in and challenge that viewpoint. Duda told Fox News Tuesday, America is great. America's founding documents are great. And I do believe that socialism is very destructive coming from a country which was founded as a socialist country. So, yeah, this is my state. And this is what irritates me about it is that, it sounds like my state is crazy liberal, And you know what? Communism, socialism is not compatible with democracy. First of all, this isn't a democracy we live in. This is a republic, a constitutional republic with features of democracy. Okay? I'm sick of all these people. It's like even Biden in the State of the Union calling America a democracy. We are not a democracy. Last democracy I heard of was Greeks. And they had to vote on every single thing. They call everybody together for every single vote. What happened to them?
Call it a democracy, but then make such a big deal about January 6th.
Yeah. EK's back, everybody.
Not that I'm okay with what happened.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
In a real democracy, January 6th would have been okay.
Yeah. In a real democracy, January 6th would have been fine. Yeah. And I like the joke that Gavin McInnes said. It's about, some caller on Gavin McInnes says the January 6th riot was about as dangerous as a Bell and Sebastian mosh pit. You could wear flip flops and nobody would hurt their toes. And I think that's true. Anyway, so it just irritates me that people aren't learning their lesson. Apparently, they didn't pass 12th grade civics. Where they can understand the difference between our republic, our constitutional republic, and a communist country. But no, it's like, no, I don't like the way you phrase that communism and socialism isn't compatible because I'm a socialist. You remember those good old days when we'd be hunting people all over Hollywood and then the government who are for being socialists or communists? Boy, I miss those days. J. Edgar Hoover, you and your panties, I miss you. I mean, say what you want, he was focused on the dangers of communism and socialism. Weird as he was. Anyway, let's go on to this next story. All right. All right, it's going to ramp up here in the last 10 minutes here. So more than $300 million worth of cocaine was found floating in the Pacific Ocean. So New Zealand police said Wednesday that they had discovered 3.2 tons of the drugs, which is believed to have been destined for Australia, has dealt a significant blow to the international criminal syndicate's operation. New Zealand wanted it for themselves. Quote, that wasn't a quote. This is a quote. There is no doubt this discovery lands a major financial blow right from the South American producers through the distributors of this product. Police Commissioner Andrew Costner said in a statement. Hold on now. First of all, you claim it's worth $300 million, but whenever they get a drug seizure or something like that, they say would give it street value, but it was sent at the wholesale value. You know what I mean? So it's not like the distributors in Australia, they didn't get the product. All right. And all the manufacturers really lost was the cost of shipment and the product itself. So maybe $150 million was lost in the criminal enterprise. All right. Something like that. Because they always use street, end product, You don't get the wholesaler price. Anyway, no doubt the discovery is made. Okay, I already read that. He described the haul as one of the biggest, single biggest seizures of illegal drugs by authorities in this country. Authorities say 81 bales of cocaine, which now, according to Reuters, is estimated to be worth about $320 million, has been returned to New Zealand, where they'll be destroyed. Yeah, destroyed. Nobody's going to be sleeping in New Zealand for a while. No arrests have been made yet. The investigation is ongoing. It is a huge illustration of what lengths organized crime will go to for their global drug trafficking operations, and shows that we are not exempt from major organized criminal drug smuggling efforts in this part of the world. New Zealand Customs Service Acting Controller Bill Perry said in a statement. Yeah, duh. I don't know. That's a lot of coke. If it gets wet, can you still use the coke? I imagine you can dry it out. I've never really got into that, so, because most people with it are assholes. To the point where you're like, that guy's a douche. I bet I can ask him for coke. Seriously. I had a conversation with a guy. He's like, we were sitting at a table, and I was like, we were, having drinks one night, and I ran into chatted with some guy at the bar. He was a total douche. And so I went back to my table, and later in the night, my friend, man, I'd love to get some coke. I was like, go ask that guy. And he's like, why? He's like, he's a real raging douche, and so he probably has coke. Anyway, let's talk about Pink Floyd a little bit. So Pink Floyd bandmates feud over members' anti-Semitic pro-Putin remarks. Quote, I guess the reunion is off. Legendary Pink Floyd guitarist David Gilmour slammed former bandmate of Pink Floyd and Pink Floyd founding member Roger Waters on Twitter on Monday. Gilmour torched Waters' history of some anti-Semitic views and more recent defense of Russian President Vladimir Putin's behavior in Ukraine in a blunt post on his Twitter account. The comfortably numb guitar player endorsed a brutal post from his wife, author Polly Sampson, who targeted Waters' political views as well as the numerous character flaws allegedly belonging to former Pink Floyd bassist and singer. Excuse me. She says that Waters is an anti-Semitic, misogynist, a hypocrite, and additionally a lip syncer. Oh, the last cut is the deepest. Gilmour claims Sampson's post was demonstrably true. In full, Sampson tweeted, sadly, at Roger Waters, you are anti-Semitic to your rotten core. Also, a Putin apologist and a lying, thieving, hypocritical, tax-avoiding, lip-syncing, misogynistic, sick with envy megalomaniac. Enough of your nonsense. Adding injury to insult, Gilmour quote tweeted his wife's post saying, every word is demonstrably true. Gilmour and his wife's tweets were clearly aimed at Waters' history of comments and statements denounced as anti-Semitic, as well as his 2022 claim that Russia's invasion of Ukraine was prompted by extreme nationalists in Ukraine. As Fox News Digital reported, Waters also criticized the U.S. and Great Britain for supplying weapons to the Ukrainian war effort. All right. So, yeah, you know the basics of this. I don't need to read anymore, right? So, I mean, first of all, it's just Pink Floyd. It doesn't break my heart. I don't think I like a lot of what they have done, but I mean, let's be honest. Mostly, I just like the Dark Side of the Moon and the Wall, And plus, in the Wall, he wrote this thing where it's like where he's supposed to be. He's like he had Bob Geldof in the film, dress up in the a fascistic kind of look, and he's up there on the stage and are there any queers in the theater tonight? Get 'em up against the wall. There's one in the spotlight. He don't look right to me. Get him up against the wall. So he had this kind of I think it was always kind of his personality, an interest in that fascist Nazi thing. It's I think he always had that. I mean, even though he grew up in the underground. You know what I mean? During the Second World War. He grew up with Germans bombing his city. He's living in the underground. But I mean, the people who get into that kind of stuff, it's almost like it's aesthetic choice. It's like, oh, those Nazi uniforms are quite stylish. And that's a snappy dresser, that Hitler. You know, and it's weird to me. It's super weird. It's like, yeah, but it's a uniform of evil. It has like a skull and crossbones on the hat. You know, are we the baddies? You know, yes, those are the bad guys. Those are the bad guys. And so, you know, it's a shame. I would love to see a reunion. But, you know, if the guy's just some crazy old man now, he's a crazy old man now. What are you going to do? You know, get the original studio recordings of what you want to hear from Pink Floyd. They're better anyway. You know, and there's no pig flying over the audience. Anyway, let's get into this last story just for a little fun because people are awful people. So, a Delta passenger says flight attendant told his wife, "Don't look at me with that stupid face," quote unquote. Don't look at me with that stupid face. So, a confrontation on a Delta Airlines flight from Orlando, Florida to New York last November ended up with a Virginia family being removed from the airplane. Okay, hold on. A lot of names thrown around here. So, it's a Virginia family flying to New York from Orlando. Okay, I'm following. Why weren't they flying to Virginia? Anyway, it doesn't matter. And the husband and the father of the family said that they have yet to be compensated by Delta. The man reposted information about the ordeal on January 30th in a video that has since gone viral after he failed to hear anything substantive from Delta about the family's poor experience. He told Fox News Digital in a phone interview, plus emailed comments. The male passenger and his wife and children boarded a Delta flight at to LaGuardia Airport, New York City, on the afternoon of November 7th, 2022. The passenger asked for his family's names to be omitted for privacy. Quote, "After we sat down in our seats, the lady next to my wife had nowhere for her bag to go," the passenger said. The traveler said he got up and tried to assist the other passenger. "I tried to move our stuff around to make enough room, but I was unable to make the bag fit," he said. The passenger, who said he was in Comfort Plus coach seating, said he asked first-class passengers in front of him if he might put the bag in one of the overhead bins. They all said no problem, he noted. At this point, he said, the flight attendant started to yell at me because those bins are, quote, only for first class. Calling her attitude immediately hostile, the traveler said the flight attendant then placed the passenger's kids' backpacks at their feet and attempted to place his oversized backpack at his feet after pulling it from an overhead bin. Place his oversized backpack at his feet after putting... So she started pulling stuff out of the bins? Overhead bins? I told her, "No, I will not put this at my feet. I will not put it at my feet," the passenger said. "First, I paid for Comfort Plus, and I'm not losing my legroom with a bag when I paid for an upgraded seat." He continued, "When she realized my bag was too big for underneath the seat, she took it out of one bin and slammed it into another bin and stormed off." He added, "At this point, we thought she was done being a jerk to us." Soon, the airline safety video began playing on individual TV screens as part of the pre-takeoff routine, he said. Ritual. Routine. And it's like, yeah, those are all like on the front, right? Like right in front of you, right? So she stands right in front of us, and I'm not looking up at her, so she asked very rudely for me to watch a video, say I might learn something, he said. "I pointed out that I'm watching the TV right in front of me," said the airline passenger. He said that the flight attendant then looked at his wife and said, "Don't look at me with that stupid face." Traveler said his wife asked the attendant what she said, and then the lady attendant said that she is from the Bronx and you don't want this. Oh, Lord. Can you dig it? At this point, I started to video her, the traveler said, noting that his family stayed calm. "We never raised our voices," he said. The flight attendant informed us we will be kicked off the plane and that I was not allowed to video her. He continued, "I informed her that when you talk with us the way you're talking to us, I will 100% video you." He also said, "Still, we were not getting upset. We could not believe this lady could talk to us the way she did. Soon, about 5 people came on to remove us from the flight," he said. "Once we saw them, we immediately got up and pleasantly walked off the plane." The passenger told authorities present what happened, and he said, noting that he was still very calm, and he showed them the video he'd taken. He'd said, he told us that they told us she was in the wrong and apologized to us, he said. "The captain of the plane came out and talked to us and agreed that there was no reason for us, no reason to remove us from the flight. When the flight attendant heard this development, the passenger said that she refused to be on the plane with us because now she feels unsafe. He added, at this point, if we were told if she refuses to be on the plane, then the flight will be canceled because they do not have to have a replacement for her. This woman, this New York Bronx woman, he continued, so to avoid inconveniencing everyone on the plane, we asked if they can get us another flight home, and they said yes. Noting that the airline then flew his family home first class, he said that several airline personnel, from gate agents to supervisors, could not believe how his family was treated and that they remained calm. The traveler said, "We do not ask for anything for free. Just that this flight attendant will be disciplined or fired for how she spoke to us." Yeah. My God. Some people, like New Yorkers, what can you say? New Yorkers. Oh, my Lord. I get it. That's your job. Sometimes you have a bad day, it's like, just always to the bags, always these people in their bags. I get it. But it's a service industry, This isn't, what's that restaurant, Dick's or whatever, where everyone's a jerk. Anyway, it's ridiculous. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron there. I would appreciate that very much. Or if you just want to send me money through Cash App, use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word, on Cash App. Follow me on Twitter, at Denalitsaw, DNALETSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I also have books available for digital download. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. I got the Bunny Years memoir. Look on Amazon.com. That's where they are. Amazon.com. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. I got the Exit 13 series, The Ravings of a Madman, and The Bunny Years, a memoir. And be sure to like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about this show. Share my clips. I had a fan. He's like, "Oh man, I love your stuff." And it was like, did you hear about me talking about me getting beat up in middle school? It's like, no. It's like, click the live tab. What? Click the live tab. And you go, oh, you do like an hour show every week. It's like, yeah. It's like, oh. So click around on my YouTube channel. See what you can find. Anyway, this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.